When I was a kid, I had a book of fun physics experiments for kids, and one of them was an experiment where you hold an object by a string, and just by focusing on the direction you wanted it to swing, it would start to move in that direction, even without your input. The book, of course, explained that this was the ideomotor effect, a phenomenon where your thoughts can create minute, unconscious movements in your body. Then, a couple years later, I got a fortune-telling kit that included a pendulum. You hold the pendulum over a piece of paper that says yes and no, and ask a question, and whichever way the pendulum moves is the answer. At which point I was like, hey, wait a minute. And in hindsight, I think that experience explains most things about who I am as a person. There was a scene in Generation Kill about that. It's about a USMC unit in the initial invasion of Iraq in 2003. One night, they look out over the horizon and see just a giant collection of headlights coming their way. They know that their unit is at the very front of the invasion, so a bunch of stuff driving towards them in the middle of the night has to be an Iraqi unit coming to attack them. It gets decided that a bunch of bombs needed to be dropped onto that Iraqi column. They go out the next morning to count how many tanks they blew up. All they find is a bunch of holes in the desert and maybe a couple busted TV antennas that someone left once upon a time. Turns out those headlights had been a town, thankfully a lot further away than they thought, and their eyes were making them think the lights were moving towards them.